Mexico's frivolous lawsuit against US gun manufacturers just got a lot more interesting, as hackers have apparently tapped into the Mexican military and released tons of data on where these cartels actually get their guns from. USA Today has the big report on this one, and while the headline tries to paint it as a smoking gun for US gun makers, all it really shows is that Mexico should be going after the US government itself, and proves that the lawsuit against Glock and Ruger and Smith & Wesson is nothing but performative activism. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As one of my friends recently said, I am the woman that never sleeps. And so today's video is brought to you by my second extra large travel mug of Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee Company is a family-owned roaster in sunny Florida that supports your rights, the Second Amendment, and channels like mine, so you can feel good about your morning caffeine injection, and maybe also the one that you drink in the afternoon and in the evening. Their Memorial Day sale is now live, where you can save 24% off your order with code HONOR24. This applies to their coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and even their special partner roasts that raise money for your favorite gun rights groups. So check them out today at blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. Also, I am going to apologize to you guys ahead of time because I have hit, you know when you get like 4 hours of sleep and you have been surviving on caffeine all day, and then you hit that wall where suddenly your brain doesn't want to work anymore and everything is ridiculous and hilarious. I hit that point about 10 minutes ago. But Mama's got to do her video, so we'll see how this goes. Woo! Okay. Anyways, the hackers released 10 million records pertaining to crime guns recovered by Mexican authorities from 2018 to 2022. The first major point that we need to address is that the data is on 78,000 guns recovered over the border. The way USA Today writes the lead-in, you would think that all of these guns are from the United States. But of those 78,000, only about 24,000 were from United States gun sales and imports, which first is only a third, and second, I want you to pay attention to that word import, because it implies lawful imports, as in guns that went through the process to legally be sold to military, police, or one of the country's 2 legal gun stores. Some stories I read said 1, some said 2. Either way, it's a really small number. That is not quite the picture that Mexican authorities have been painting. They've been talking and acting as if the United States is the source of the problem when it comes to drug cartels getting their hands on guns. And even the leaked emails between US and Mexican authorities talk about the cartel's, quote, insatiable appetite for American guns. So insatiable that the ATF was just handing them out. You get a gun, and you get a gun, and you get a gun, and you get a gun. USA Today doesn't tell us where the other 54,000 crime guns come from, and from all appearances, the Mexican government doesn't care. Even if they somehow were able to stop US guns from getting over the border, that doesn't account for the other 2/3 of guns being used by the bad guys. Next, we learn that of the top 6 straw purchasers smuggling guns to cartels, half were working with the ATF under the guise of Fast and Furious. Between them, they illegally bought 2,000 guns and sold them to cartels, where most of them were then lost. As we know, the big arrests were never really made, and the guns are still being used in crimes over a decade later. USA Today also has a breakdown of the most popular guns used and recovered in cartel violence. Top among them is the budget-friendly Anderson Arms AM-15. It's so popular that the Mexican government recovered 500 over the span of 4 years, out of 78,000 guns. That's only 2% of the US guns and about 0.5% of the total. And so popular, these Anderson Arms, that Mexico doesn't even name them in the lawsuit. I don't know if you can hear the screaming toddler, but even she thinks it's funny. The Jennings J22 is also listed as a cartel favorite. Now, I had to look this up because I had never heard of it. The J22 is a 22 caliber pocket pistol developed in 1978 that is, according to the internet, total unreliable hot garbage. It is so bad that if you find one, it can be bought secondhand for the low price of $20. $20 that might also cost you a finger or worse, as apparently what it does best is not fire when you want it to and fire when you don't. Jennings is, of course, also not in the Mexican lawsuit. Colt is named in the lawsuit and is in the popular USA Today graphic. Apparently the culprit here is the company's government-issued 1911, which was the standard issue military sidearm from 1911 to 1985. Law enforcement has recovered 485 of these. Government issue. Now, I wonder how that got to those bad guys down in Mexico. Another name in the lawsuit is Smith & Wesson. You might expect, for all the screeching, that the gun of choice here is one of the M&Ps. It's not. Apparently the cartel's favorite Smith & Wesson gun is the Model 10. It was a revolver that was popular in law enforcement until departments started issuing standard handguns. From what I can tell, it largely went out of use in the 1990s, 30 years ago. Now remember, the Mexican lawsuit claims that gun manufacturers are purposefully marketing new and contemporary models to cartels in order to facilitate straw purchases and crime. They are accused of aiding and abetting cartel violence through this marketing. But by the numbers, the most popular cartel guns are either cheap budget options, flat out ghetto, or government issue guns that have been retired. Nowhere on this list of popular cartel guns is the Glock 19 or the Colt AR. But for the most part, they're not rolling up to American FFLs and doing straw purchases. They're taking advantage of cheap guns people don't want anymore. It is strictly guns of opportunity here. Still, Mexican officials say that this information is proof positive that the likes of Smith & Wesson and Glock are doing the devil's work in Mexico and need to be stopped. Even if you look at the straw purchases, the #1 store is only responsible for 727 of those guns. The next highest is a Cabela's with 215. Yet all the straw purchasers identified in this report have already been prosecuted or were ATF operatives. Meanwhile, none of the ATF agents behind the scandal have ever faced any real consequences. During Operation Fast and Furious, the ATF specifically told some of these gun shops to let suspicious purchases slide for the good of national security and fighting crime, and you can bet the Fed boys absolutely tried to throw those same shops under the bus. And then that information was used to try to pump out gun control. But without government alphabet agencies, who would sell guns to the Mexican drug cartels? Alright, boys and girls, that is it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Ring that notification bell and drop a comment down below for the algorithm. And as always, thanks for tuning in, even when I have had way too much caffeine. And happy shooting.